Hey guys, Steph Roberts here, and you may know me from my podcast, The Audacious Life, or The Audacious Mama Show. And if you are somebody who's listening to the podcast, you probably heard me talk about this channel, and then you come back, and there hasn't been anything new here, so I apologize for that. So that's what this is. I've actually been recording other videos, and what I realized is that some of them are a little bit intense, and I need a video that's kind of a bridge and an introduction to this channel for people who have not heard my podcast, because they're likely to find this before they find the podcast. So I started the podcast 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more, and it's all geared toward helping people who are stuck in these toxic and abusive relationships where they may not be carrying bruises or scars or black eyes or whatever, but they're being stuck, feeling stuck in an environment that's toxic, that's controlling, verbally abusive, emotionally abusive, financially abusive, potentially sexually abusive, all kinds of things. And the reason why I wanted to start with this, is I know this is really intense, is that in this period of COVID, it really has amped up the abuse. And what's happening is that domestic violence has skyrocketed because it was already difficult to be at home in an environment for many men and women. There are plenty of men who are being abused too, and I just want to throw that out there. My primary audience are women, and women are the greater number of people who are impacted by this because they are oftentimes the secondary earner, the mom, they're behind closed doors, they're taking care of their children, and now they're stuck behind closed doors also educating their children. And even if they had another job, they maybe perhaps lost that job or were encouraged to give it up so that they could functionally do all the other things I just mentioned and continue to keep their heads above water as a family. That scenario with somebody who is controlling, abusive, verbally abusive, tends toward anger, and doesn't like outsiders coming in, it's kind of the perfect environment for somebody like that to really thrive and create even more of a scary situation for all of the other members of the family who are living in that person's domain, because they truly feel that their home is their castle, their home is their domain, and they have absolute control and absolute reign over their domain. And so I've created some other videos that kind of relate to this, and I realized I couldn't just like jump in and launch into those videos. So this is just, I'm working up to it. And if you found this video and you found it because you're somebody who listens to my podcast, you know my heart, you know where I'm coming from. I was actually in 2 or more relationships that were toxic and controlling. Some of the things I'm going to mention are not things that I personally experienced, but are things that I've heard directly from the many survivors that I've interviewed, the groups that I'm involved with, the domestic violence support groups, tons of different Facebook groups, channels where I've observed discussions and connected with people myself even, and also just my own research, because I felt my heart is just kind of was really going out to the women and children and men who are stuck in these really cloistered and isolating situations right now, where the government is just saying, like, keep your, circle the wagons, stay inside, or limit the people in your life. Well, if you're with a controlling person, they already limit the people that you're around. And so it's giving them a greater way to flex that muscle and keep you tightly bound under their control. And if you're being harmed, physically, emotionally, all those things, which I assume you are if you're in that environment, it's just that much harder to get support right now because of COVID and coronavirus. These organizations have limitations on what they can do to help you. Not saying this to depress you, you probably are already aware of this, but I think that what's happening, the positive side of this is that there is an increase in awareness in this topic, not as much as I would like to see, but that's why I'm making this video and some of the other videos that I've made, is that I feel like, you know, there's a tendency, because of the dynamics of these relationships, to hide what's actually happening behind the scenes. And I think it's very difficult to function in your job, or as a parent, even with your kids. There's a lot that can be explosive behind the scenes. And you know, if you're on your job and Zooming and you've got stuff happening in the background and it's escalating, it's very difficult to function and try to maintain a sense of stability and sanity in that situation. It's extremely trying. And I think that I'm going to bring on April. She was a guest on one of my earlier podcasts. She wrote a book called Pinpoints of Light. Her last name is Juk. You would never know that the way it's spelled. But anyway, April's amazing, and she has worked on, it's basically a toolkit for corporate America and for people to help with how to get somebody who's in one of these situations to kind of come forward and feel comfortable. Because work was one of the places that someone could go to get a little bit of a breather, to get a little bit of personal space, to get out of the home, assuming you were somebody who was working, able to work. Like, that was a bit of a break. Going to school sports events, going to things where you were meant to be as a parent, like those were ways out where you could, again, be around other people, move a little bit more freely, and have a change of scenery and break the monotony of what's happening at home behind closed doors. So this is a really challenging time for people in those relationships. My heart goes out to you if this is you. I do have another video coming out about specifically speaking to the people who do not understand or believe people who are in these situations. They think it's being made up, or that they're maybe being too dramatic or too emotional and they need to work on it. And they're not really understanding the full breadth of the problem, how deep it runs, and how damaging it can be, and how difficult it can be when you don't believe the person sharing their story with you. So a couple things that I wanted to share. Number one is believe. If somebody trusts you enough to open up to you about what's happening behind the scenes in their world right now at home, yes, it's a pressure cooker and a lot of people are fighting. There are a lot of, you know, either people are, I've seen people getting married and eloping and good things are happening, but the other flip side of that is people are stuck and they feel like they can't get out. They can't even get a divorce. The courts are shut down. There's wait lists. It is a very, very trying time. So if you're experiencing that, it's really helpful to find just one person who you can trust. And if you're watching this and you suspect that one of your friends is being controlled by their spouse, they're limiting their ability to contact other people, and by that I don't mean just like getting out of the house, but even, you know, being on the phone or connecting and getting support from other people, you know, or you're seeing that they're exhausted because their sleep is impacted, maybe they're getting depressed, you know, there are ways to help them, and starting that conversation and just letting them know that you're concerned about them. You don't have to say any of the other words about abuse or anything like that, but just having one person can help that person feel more secure, feel like there's a safety valve for them if they want to get out eventually. And again, I have another video coming out that will talk a little bit more about that. But if you're watching this and this intrigues you and you're like, oh, I think I might know one or two people or someone in my life who's going through that, these are people you wouldn't expect. So I just wanted to pick some people out of the pop culture, because I feel like that's something people can relate to. And it's like, oh no, that didn't happen to her. So I was watching some clips from Drew Barrymore, and she recently had Charlize Theron on. And Charlize, who has at least one adopted son, I think she has two now, she openly said that she is not dating and she's not thinking about bringing somebody into her life because she feels more comfortable knowing that her children have a secure, safe home where they don't have to wake up in the morning and wonder if, you know, if mom's boyfriend is going to be in a good mood or not, or whatever, because she grew up with domestic violence in her home. And that statement just really stuck with me. I was like, wow, I totally understand that. Um, and then, and if I can pull in these clips, again, I'm new to YouTube. I've done some of the research. I know I can use some shorter clips, but there's another one with Oprah where she's interviewing Reese Witherspoon and asking her, you know, what was the most difficult decision that you had to make to fulfill your destiny? And she just said, leaving an abusive relationship. And look at everything that she's done. And Big Little Lies is a show where domestic violence is kind of the center point of these very amazing women's lives. But it's this common thread through their lives. So I'm just sharing that with you because people are like, they often misinterpret abuse and who it can happen to, and they think that it's, you know, maybe it's a class or socioeconomic thing, and it's not. It can impact anyone, and it's on the rise. I don't have the numbers here, but I know that that's partly because there's not really a way to track it right now. And again, it's totally related to COVID and a lot of these big organizations that would normally be able to help people and track these things. The hotlines are still open, but the in-person ability to help has been impacted by the fear and the reality of COVID. So the other thing I wanted to say is with Charlize, she actually started, again, related to COVID and women being in the most difficult situation with this because they are primarily caregivers in the family, watching children, watching elders. They're also, many of them are nurses and caregivers, so they are put in situations where they are at risk. So they're at risk for their health. They're also at risk for losing jobs. They're also at risk for domestic violence and gender-based violence. And one of the stats from her, she started an organization called Together for Her, and you want to go check that out. You can contribute and you can read a little bit more about it. This is an international effort that she pulled together to help women across the world. And what she says, this is a direct quote from that website, is 6 months of lockdowns could result in an additional 31 million cases of gender-based violence. And so it's already happening. And it's really just a call for women to come together and support each other in solidarity through this crisis. So yeah, I wanted to make this website to say this channel is about supporting women who are stuck, feeling stuck, or maybe they got out and now they're just trying to figure out, okay, now how do I make this work? How can I still feel like I can thrive emotionally, physically, financially, within relationships, all of the above. So my channel will cover all of those things. The relationship part, you know, kind of the getting out and finding the right kind of support for you, for your kids, mentally, like what kinds of things can you read, what books, what programs can you get involved in, you know, anything what tips and tricks and things to help you feel better. And then also, my background is digital marketing and web development, instructional design, web accessibility. My degree is in film. Like all of that stuff mashed together is kind of cool because I feel like given where we are with remote work, if you're trying to create a stream of income because you are forced to leave your job to care for your children and you're a single parent, or you're stuck at home and you're like, how do I get out of this? Like, I don't see a path to getting out, and you need to take the slow road and you need to develop a source of income so that you can build it up and you can feel confident that you can leave and have money, because maybe this person's so controlling they haven't allowed you to work outside the home, which is very, very common. That's kind of the stuff that I'm going to focus on this channel, but also in a private group that I'll be telling you more about. So for now, that's the kind of stuff you're going to see on the channel. It's going to be mindset, relationships, getting out of and healing from toxic situations. It doesn't have to be an intimate partner scenario. Could be your parents, could be your boss, could be your neighbor, your sister, your family, whatever. Sometimes we just need to break away from the people who are limiting us and our potential and making us feel small. So the other parts of this are how to leverage affiliate marketing. You consume things every day as a parent or as a woman around the house or as a wife. There are things that you love, products you use, that kind of thing. You could do so many things related to sharing your ideas on a blog, on a video, in your social media. And this is the kind of stuff that I think is kind of the low-hanging fruit. It's not going to change your world overnight, but that's one of the smaller, easier things. Becoming a virtual assistant is another thing you could do, where you can leverage your skills, either just even on your phone with social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, all the things that you love. You may have skills that someone else needs, and you can help them with their posting schedule, writing, maybe creating simple graphics, all kinds of things related to social media and building their visibility. The other thing that I do know a lot about as a double podcaster with two podcasts is there are a lot of people launching podcasts, and there's a lot of there's kind of a big shakeup happening, I think, with podcasting, but all podcasters need somebody to take their content and repurpose it and kind of syndicate their content in small bite-sized chunks and try to get more people to download and build their audience, build their email list through, again, social media and very specific ways of repurposing that content. So I'm pulling all of this together into these little mini courses and things, and I'm hoping that this will be part of the online subscription area, where you can join for one price and have access to these trainings and workshops. And I'm going to bring other people in and just try to help you elevate where you are, give yourself hope, and just really be kind of that bridge to, hold your hand and pull you into the light and out of the darkness. Because whether you've left already and you're getting by and eking out a living, but you have more potential, you just want to thrive, but there's stuff blocking you. It could be mental things, it could be logistical things with your family structure, your children or elderly, people you have to take care of, that kind of thing. It could be very tricky to make it work. It's not impossible, but you needed the ideas of other people to kind of really put you on an upward momentum in the right direction. And I just feel like that's where my heart is with all of this. I've been talking about it and kind of moving in this direction slowly over time. But as I'm on a full-time contract that's winding down, and that's opening the door for more possibilities for me to jump in and do more of this content, and I'm excited about it, taking it seriously and really helping people. So yeah, so this is my, I guess, intro to me jumping into YouTube. Thank you for watching this video. If there's somebody that can benefit from this channel and what I'm going to be offering, or any of my older videos or the podcast, please do share this. Please like, please subscribe. Please give me encouragement if there's something good here. And if you have suggestions for any content that you want, that you're curious about, maybe you haven't found anything else. There's a lot of information on YouTube, but maybe there's something that's missing. I've noticed there are things that are missing. Please feel free to reach out to me and give me some suggestions. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more. And yeah, just if you're in this, every morning I am spending way more time in prayer and meditation and closing my eyes and just really kind of connecting to all the women and men and children and who are struggling, and really just sending you so much love from my heart. It is so genuine. So anyway, thank you so much for your bravery, your courage. If there's somebody who's stuck, please be that supportive person. Be that one person who believes, that one person who just listens and nods and hugs and doesn't question and just supports. Just and learn more about this and find ways to support those, because people really need support. They need you to pull their hand and, you know, lift them out. And you don't have to be the rescuer necessarily, but when I say hold their hand, like, just belief is so huge, so huge. Okay, I will put some links in the information below. The domestic violence hotline is The Hotline. You can look that up, and I'll put the phone number below, but the hotline is a great source for you if you're going through this and you need to make an anonymous phone call just to see what your options are, or vent, or whatever. That's very, very healthy. If you're somebody who suspects somebody that you care about is going through this, it's also a good source. Go check that out, and thanks again. All right, you guys, I will see you on the next video. Lots of love to you, thoughts and prayers every single day, and you can get through this, and I will see you soon. Bye.